Once upon a time, there was a priest named Shakir who was highly respected in his village. He was often called upon to perform rituals during significant events like funerals. One day, Shakir, along with his wife Rika and their four children, attended the funeral of a young girl. During the ceremony, Shakir's daughter Tayaz heard a strange noise coming from another room. Curious, she went to investigate. What she saw was terrifying, a spirit of the girl whose funeral they were attending. The spirit appeared to be suffering, as if being tortured and burning in hell. Horrified, Tayaz ran back to her father and told him what she had seen. When Shakir shared this with the girl's grieving family, they broke down in tears. He quickly told Tayaz to stay quiet about it. Years passed and life moved on. Shakir's children grew up. Two sons, Sail and Fazer, and two daughters, Tayaz and Isa. Each of them had their own stories to tell. Tayaz, who was particularly close to her mother, once showed Rika a failed math test. She promised to work harder next time but begged her mother not to tell Shakir. Understanding her daughter's fears, Rika agreed to keep it a secret. The next day, the family was filled with joy as Sail, the eldest son, returned home from his job. Sail was the pride of the family, admired by his younger siblings who looked up to him as a role model. His parents were incredibly proud of him, and their happiness was evident. During dinner that evening, Sail brought gifts for everyone, spreading even more cheer. However, amidst the excitement, Tayaz accidentally dropped her failed math test paper. Shakir noticed it and immediately realized what had happened. He was not only upset that Tayaz had failed, but also angry that both his wife and daughter had kept it a secret from him. What began as a happy evening ended with a somber mood, but it was clear that this family's story was filled with love, struggles, and lessons yet to unfold. One evening, Shakir punished Tayaz for her poor performance in school. He used a stick to hit Tayaz's hands, hoping to teach her discipline and encourage her to follow the rules and study harder. Shakir, being a priest, was deeply committed to cultural values and had always emphasized the importance of good education and proper conduct to his children. That night, the family received a call from Dini's family. Dini was Isa's classmate and close friend. The news was devastating. Dini had taken her own life. Everyone was shocked, as no one expected such a tragedy. What was even more surprising was Isa's reaction. Despite being Dini's closest friend, she showed no sadness and acted as if the news didn't bother her. Later, Shakir and Rika decided to attend Dini's funeral and ask their children to come along. However, Sail made excuses on behalf of all the siblings, convincing their parents to let them stay home. Sail's intentions weren't immediately clear, but the reasons soon became evident. A few weeks earlier, Isa had secretly entered a singing competition. She had made it to the finals but hadn't told her parents because they strongly disapproved of such activities. That night was the final performance. Sail and Fazer came up with a plan for the siblings to sneak out and watch Isa's performance while their parents were at the funeral. They intended to return home before their parents did. Isa and Fazer agreed to the plan, but Tayaz was reluctant. She believed it was wrong to do anything without their parents' permission. Additionally, she felt betrayed because her siblings had lied to her, claiming they had important work to do at home. Despite Tayaz's protests, no one listened to her. Eventually, the siblings decided to take the shortest route to the neighboring village, which involved traveling by river. Along the way, they encountered Harjo, an old man from their village who had cataracts. He was being guided home by another villager. The siblings exchanged greetings with him as they continued on their secret journey, unaware of what awaited them. Harjo, despite his poor eyesight, recognizes the voices of the four siblings and realizes they are heading to the other village via the river. He warns them not to go that way because the weather is terrible and the river's water level could rise dangerously. However, Sail ignores Harjo's warning. Fear flashes across Sail's face, but he pushes forward with his siblings on the same risky path. Just as Harjo warned, the water level in the river suddenly rises. The siblings lose their footing, slip, and fall into the river, sustaining severe injuries. The scene ends abruptly. Meanwhile, their mother, Rika, senses something is wrong. She feels as though her children are calling for help. When she and Shakir return home later that evening, they find the house empty. Some villagers inform them that Harjo saw the children heading toward the river and tried to stop them. The parents learn it was dangerous to cross the river due to flooding. The next day, after an extensive search, the bodies of Sail and Fazer are discovered near the river. Shakir is devastated, and Rika is inconsolable, crying over the loss of her children. The family brings the boys' bodies home, but they cannot bury them yet because Taya's and Aiza's bodies are still missing. The story shifts to the afterlife, where Sale awakens in hell. He sees thousands of souls being punished in horrific ways. People are crying and suffering in agony. Sale notices an unfamiliar, creamy food in front of him, but before he can do anything, a figure dressed in black grabs him by the hair and drags him to a stone. There, Sale's tongue is cut off with large scissors. The pain is unbearable, and he writhes in agony. This punishment is for lying to his parents, particularly about praying. He often pretended to pray during namaz, but never actually did. Next, Phaser is seen in another part of hell. Hot iron rods are forced into his eyes, causing his pupils to burst. This punishment is for his immoral actions. He secretly indulged in adult content, visited prostitutes, and had multiple girlfriends, hiding these activities from his parents. Both Sale and Phaser are repeatedly punished in hell, with the suffering continuing endlessly. Sale is thrown into lava to endure further torment. Meanwhile, back in the village, Tayez is found unconscious near the river. She is taken to the hospital, where doctors reveal that she is alive but in a critical condition. However, they cannot confirm if she will survive. Shakir begins to learn many truths about his children. He always thought Tayez was the most useless, but he discovers she was the most intelligent and obedient of them all, always following his rules and never doing anything wrong. Shakir also learns the truth about Sale. Contrary to what he believed, Sale was a con artist who scammed people with fake money and insurance schemes. He also gambled extensively, which was his primary source of income. Sale had even scammed Harjo in the past by taking her money for a fake scheme and never returning it. That's why Sale was scared and ran away when he saw Harjo by the river. On the other hand, Rika learns the truth about Phaser. He was not the respectable son she thought he was. Instead, he was unfaithful and had many girlfriends. Some of his girlfriends even attended his funeral, further shocking Rika. The story then shifts back to Tayez, who is shown in hell. Unlike her brothers, she is not being tortured. Instead, she watches them suffer endlessly. As Tayez moves forward in hell, she sees her younger sister Aiza. Aiza is muttering Dini's name repeatedly. Tayez then witnesses the spirit of a girl repeatedly hanging herself and taking her own life. It is revealed that the spirit is Dini. She had been mentally tortured and bullied by Aiza in the guise of friendship. Aiza's cruel behavior had pushed Dini to leave her home and take her own life. This explains why Aiza seemed unaffected by Dini's death. She never truly cared about her. Aiza was also punished in hell for her wrong deeds. Her hands were repeatedly cut off, causing her immense pain. It became clear that Aiza had died, as punishment in hell was only given to those who had passed away and committed wrongful acts. All three siblings, Sale, Phaser, and Aiza, were brought together in one place in hell. They were punished in a way that even Tayez, watching them, couldn't bear to see. As the punishment continued, the cloth covering their faces was removed, revealing their evil forms, their own dark personalities punishing themselves. Tayez saw her own reflection there, but realized she didn't have a bad personality because she had never done anything wrong since childhood. After witnessing this, Tayez was taken out of hell. Back in the real world, she regained consciousness in the hospital. Meanwhile, Shakir discovered Aiza's dead body. After performing the death rituals, the family buried all three siblings, Sale, Phaser, and Aiza. In the final scene, we see Shakir, Rika, and Tayez praying together. It becomes clear that Shakir had always taught Tayez not to commit any wrong deeds, warning her about the punishments given in hell. What happened to the other three siblings was exactly what Shakir had described, hinting that he had some special ability to foresee these things. This connects back to the beginning when Tayez saw a spirit burning in hell and told her father about it. Shakir had calmed her down at the time. It's implied that both Tayez and her father could see spirits, which is why Tayez witnessed what happened to her siblings and their true natures in hell. Because of these experiences, Tayez understood the consequences of wrongdoing and stayed on the right path throughout her life. The story concludes here, with Tayez resolving never to stray into wrongdoing after seeing the fate of her siblings. Well, folks, that's a wrap on today's roller coaster of a recap. If you enjoyed the twists, turns, and a sprinkle of drama, don't forget to smash that like button. It's easier than finding a ghost in a haunted house. And hey, if you've got a favorite movie you want us to break down, drop it in the comments below. We promise we'll recap it faster than the speed of a horror movie screen. Oh, and don't leave without hitting subscribe. Join our movie-loving squad because, let's face it, your watch list could always use a little chaos. Until next time, stay awesome, stay entertained, and don't forget to check under the bed, just in case.